What is going on, boys? Welcome back to another video. This is episode 2 of the playbook, bringing you basically through everything that I wish I knew sooner, and it would have helped me make so much more money when I was a beginner trader. I know it's a battle, I know it's tough, I just want to help you as much as possible. I don't do the educational stuff a lot, so let me know if you enjoy these. I'm not posting another one of these till I get 100 likes on this. I don't care. I don't know if that's a lot or not on YouTube, but like and subscribe on this video, and make sure to use code STEPH at Tradeify for instant funding and some of the best funded accounts you can find in the trading space. I'm still giving away 5 accounts totally for free to anybody that uses code STEPH. I'm going to be picking 5 people probably tomorrow, but for now, let's get into supply and demand and let's show you exactly why. This is my favorite thing that I've ever learned, and I still love this shit so much. I have to take it from here from yesterday. I'm sure you get it from like an overall like psychological and like, you know, I guess economic standpoint, but within trading, it is easy to understand, but it's one of those things where it's like it goes so deep for like no reason at all, and like can really be interpreted in so many different ways. So like I'll just give you my input on it. Just because you might think it's a little different than how you look at it doesn't make it incorrect, but just from an overall standpoint, kind of the basis of it, this is going to be the scenario most of the time that I recommend you end up doing, and that's before every single session that you trade. It could be night, it could be in the morning, it could be in the afternoon. Set up a high and set up a low. Now you can do this on any time frame, but for the most part, I would suggest either the 15-minute or the hourly, depending on whichever one gives you a better outlook. Like right now on the 15-minute, it is a little bit tricky just because it's not perfect. We can check the hourly and see if there's any difference. This does work, and we can go ahead and mark it out just for the sake of the minute. Okay, so this is, again, this is where the interpretation really comes into play. For the most part, just for right now, we're going to mark out our low of this session because this is the close right around here. And then at this point, we're going to go ahead and mark out the high. You guys see, we could end up doing something like this, where we just mark out that entire high of the first candle, because technically that's where the high was created. But in my position, and when you do like to trade off of these areas, you want to make sure these zones are as small as possible, because inherently the smaller they are, the more likely you are to have a better RR trade, risk less, and make more. So what I like to do in a scenario like this, when they are like multiple highs inside of a certain area, and what I mean by that is we obviously have this wick right here, we have this wick, we have this wick, we have this wick, all showing in a good way that there's sellers here. But for the most part, we want to put our zone in the best spot possible, in the area we believe is going to be the highest opportunity to see a rejection. And all you're going to do in a situation like this, when you do see multiple wicks within an initial wick, is you're going to mark out the obviously the top of the high, so this initial wick right here, all the way down to the top of that wick. So boom, we have a very small high right here. We've made sure that the zone actually does come off of the high of the entire zone. That's the main thing, is you want to make sure your zone starts at the high, and then you just want to go to the most, I guess you would call it the lower high, the other higher high, which would be right here. So you'd go ahead and mark that zone out. You see, in a situation like this where there's only one, you can't do that. So it's one of those times where you're going to have multiple. For an example, even right down here, you guys see we have these kind of multiple wicks within one area. Go ahead and mark it out from this high all the way down to this high. But again, we're not using that right now. But okay, so now we have our high and our low created of the session. The whole point of supply and demand is you guys want to work off of price action. You believe that once it gets up here, there's too much supply, meaning price is probably going to fall off, because you guys know supply and demand, the 50-50. If there's too much supply, not enough people buying it, price is going to go down. If you're in a demand zone and there's not enough sellers and there's too many buyers, price is going to go up. So that's pretty much the entire concept. When we look at it from this perspective, at this point now, what we have on the hourly time frame, you could do this like, let's say you start you trade right New York Open, so 9:30 Eastern, you could hop on at 9:25, 9 o'clock, and set up your high and your low. At this point, we have a range created. So this is our range. This is our range right between here. Necessarily, if you do play off of these, this is the range I was talking about. You want to play off of the most recent rejection. So for example, once again, we have the low that we made, we marked it out, and this high that we made, and we marked it out. We most recently created this low just this hour. So theoretically, the most recent move was a buy. So all we're doing now is we're actually looking for price to come back into this area, reject the buys, prove that there's buyers here, then get in the trade. And you don't need to target this high and push it all the way up, but maybe run a 1-to-1 off of it and see where it takes you. So, and by the way, this is there's Tuesday today. I did not trade today. There was Powell news at like 12 in the afternoon. I really haven't even looked at the chart. I have looked at gold so far today, and we actually got a really good example of this. And one of the biggest things you guys, and I don't want to call you out, but most people do initially when they do get into supply and demand and stuff, is they'll always just create this low right here, and they'll hear what I said, where they said play off the most recent one. So they'll automatically just look for buys back in here, and they'll jump in right when we buy here, and then they'll jump in the trade. Let me put this up real quick. They'll actually anticipate the buys, meaning they don't know if they're actually there just yet because they just were. And they'll just hope that it holds this area, and then whatever, they'll target this high, they'll run a 120 off it, whatever. In reality, your edge is going to increase once we see that we have confirmed buys off of the zone. Does that make sense? Would you rather get into a trade, with confidence that there was buyers just here and belief that it could go up, or with 100% confirmation that buyers are in this area, then get in the trade? Obviously, the second time you're going to be way more consistent. You're going to make way more money with the second answer. So boom. So we have our hourly high and low created at this point. You're just going to go down to the time frame that you like to trade the most. For example, like for me, especially when I'm trading hourly supply and demand levels, I'll pretty much always go in the 15 when I'm watching stuff like this. This is a super simple strategy. And that's the thing. This is a trading strategy. This is something you could pick up and start trading tomorrow. I think it's super consistent. I think it's something that's always going to work. But in reality, it's a little bit too bland to consistently do day after day after day. You're going to need to put your own twist on it. But for the most part, this is a style that you could trade, and it's pretty much always going to work. Okay, so we have this hourly high created, or this hourly low. What we're going to do at this point is we're going to wait for buyers to push it up just like this. Very similar to, my shadow supply model, ironically. It's just way on a shorter time frame. You're just watching the 15-minute time frame right now. You're understanding that we believe there was supposed to be buys here because this was our low. We just saw buyers reject off of it. At this point, again, we are just waiting for price to come back down into this area, prove that there are sellers here. Once they prove that, we jump in the trade and we play off of it. That's all we're doing at this point, just off of supply and demand. And this is a super simple way to actually have pretty consistent trades. It's not about being the most knowledgeable and the most in-depth, but every single time you take a trade, it's something you seriously believe in and you really push. In last episode, we talked about that entire trade plan. This could be a very, very pivotal point within your trading plan to really have a strong system when you are trading, just to make more money and just be more consistent, man. It's going to be so much easier for you mentally to take trades. So boom, we actually see price come back into our low. We see price reject. We aren't just confident enough yet. We need to see something that is very strong and very proving that there are buyers within this area. So we're just going to see what happens. I'm not going to, okay, well, that's our cue right there to get in. So boom, at this point, you're jumping into this trade, and in my eyes, you're running a 120 off this low. This is 9 points on gold, which is pretty fat. But for the most part, again, just excluding that, you could half size on this, you could quarter size on this. But from a trading standpoint, this is a trade you have to take every single time, 10 times out of 10 if you are trading. Once again, let's break it down. So we made this initial hourly low, confirming that this is our low of the session. If we get underneath this, think about this. In a bullish market, in a bullish scenario, if we get underneath this low, it's very likely to continue down. So if the market is bullish, if you're leaning bullish, and this does happen, the people in power let the sellers pretty much push this down, you're probably done for the day. You probably shouldn't be trading. But if the market is really relying on this bullish move up, we see the move up. Once price comes back down in this area, they need to hold this line. So the best part about this is we don't have to hold this line. We wait till they prove it to us that it has been held. Then we take the trade. So it's just you don't have any. You take this trade 10 times out of 10 is all I'm saying. But again, let's just think about this scenario. We made this initial hourly low. We push up. We reject into it. And we see a beautiful candle. Again, just kind of walking you through what this candle did. This candle opened up right around here. Pushed all the way down. Broke the low, which I've actually found within just experience that actually when you do see a rejection like this and it actually gets underneath the low, then buys all the way back up, it actually works out at a higher consistency. Your win rate would increase if you did trade off this. But sometimes, I'm not looking for the break necessarily, but a very similar candle to this where we are just seeing a super strong indication that there are buyers here. Does this not prove to you how important it is for these people to hold this low? I think it does. Like, this is a trade if I did see and I had the opportunity right now, like if you just put this in front of me and said, are you getting in right here? Like, obviously it's 9 points, but like I'm getting in. This is a 10 out of 10 trade for me. Hands down. The fact we have the higher time frame low, we have a 15-minute candle confirmation, which is a very big candle, which should be signs of pretty strong confidence in one side. This is 10 out of 10. And again, I don't remember exactly what happens. But we'll see what happens. Okay. Yep. So you would have hit TP within one. That's insane. When you look at something like this, I mean, dude, I wish I actually I don't know. That's insane. I can't fully say it's because we did that, but it just proves to you. Imagine, just think, you have to really have context. Context is so king here. When you think about this candle opening here, huge sell off all the way down to low of day, broke this low. Imagine how many sellers just came in right there. Huge amounts of volume to the sell side. So think about that. Imagine you are a bear in this scenario. You send so much into the markets to sell this shit, and then boom, within that same time frame, buyers completely pick it up and put it right back to where it was. What does that mean now? Think about it. Sellers have been exhausted. They used up all their momentum to break that low, and they didn't get it. Matter of fact, they got nowhere. So at this point, what does it mean? It means that sellers are a lot weaker than they usually were, because they just wasted all their ammo and failed. So now buyers, if they really are serious about this, which they obviously are because they just held the low, they are going to press like a motherfucker and try and get this back to where it initially was. So I don't know what happens. Again, we obviously would have hit TP, but and boom, that's where the market's at right now. Super solid, super easy trade. Again, for me, there's a scenario where you do target this high, but I think that's just a little bit ridiculous. 16 points is insane. I always like to do just one-to-ones. I'm a very big one-to-one guy. I think that's always kind of been the best way to take trades, is just run one-to-ones and just, not hope or pray. But I believe in a very 50-50 sentiment. I believe, like, if I'm willing to risk this much, making just as much back has always been kind of the easy way for me. And it makes every single trade very systematic. Boom, you set up your low. Okay, 9 points. Boom, I'm running a 9-point TP. So it's not really, there's no questions, there's no indecision. That's what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Boom, you kind of just move on from it. There's another super strong example, and there's a trade I actually took in here. I have no idea what it was, but it looks like it hit TP. So use code Steph at Tradeify Funding because I'm ripping it. I don't know what this trade was about we got right here, but this is a super solid example. Probably alerted in the Discord and caught a fat dub, so make sure you're in there. Same exact system. We set up our high, boom, right here. We set up our low, boom, right here. Remember I told you guys about the thing where it's like, if there's multiple wicks within a certain area, make the low smaller or bigger. This is a scenario where it's like, it's not enough for me to really make it, like this. I don't really like that. It's usually when there's like 3 or 4 wicks in one area is when you really start to adjust it. So we're going to leave it like this for now. This is right before market opens, and I'm going to let this play out real quick and see what we do. We actually reject off that high, and boom. Proved once again that there are buyers in this area by picking it up right here, and we're actually falling off of it. But let's try and make this as real as possible, because this was actually at 8:15 in the morning. Let's push it all the way open to market open, just so that we can get like a confirmed entry. Oh, well, we missed it. But hey, we got a really good example. Sometimes even when you don't take a trade off of it, it's really nice to just see the actual play out of it. Sometimes when you don't even take a trade off of it, it's really good to just see the outcome of what you wanted to see happen. Again, we wouldn't have actually gotten an entry off of this because this was the 9:30 open right here, and by then it was already pushed up off of it. But it's super solid to see us mark out a high and mark out a low before a session starts, and see the high get rejected beautifully. And this is why I recommend gold, because gold is super oriented off of supply and demand compared to NQ, where it's just like gold is so much better for this stuff because it's a lot more respective of its previous highs and lows. We see a perfect rejection off the high, we see a beautiful rejection off the low, and we actually push this up above highs. Now this is something I like to do on the shorter time frames that we actually have the ability to do now, is actually wait for a retest on the shorter time frames off of the previous high. Because think about this, you guys know if you trade supply and demand, when they're broken, it actually inverses what it previously was. For an example, right here, this was a supply zone. This was an area where we expected to see sells, but now that we've broken above it, this actually turns into a demand zone. So knowing that, we're going to go from the 15-minute all the way down to the 2-minute, and we're going to look for a pullback to this high. And then at that point, we're going to look for a rejection off of this zone, and we're going to hopefully take a trade and see if we can get an entry off of it. We're going to see if we can get the pullback. We're going to see if we wait for buys to come in. Not yet. Where you at? Not yet. Okay, see, look, we got invalidated. We actually didn't get an entry off of that. But again, no harm, no foul. We saw an opportunity for a setup. We took it. Just because we didn't get it doesn't mean anything happened. We didn't lose any money. At this point, we're seeing pretty strong sells come in, and I'm not going to take a trade in this area until we see an actual break above once again. So boom, we got it right here. We got the break above. Now I'm looking for the same exact thing, a pullback to this area. Confirmations of buys, jumping in right here, getting in, and then running a 1-to-1, maybe just running a TP at this high, depending on the sizing. And it's just not going to give us an entry. You guys have to be okay with that, though. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind it at all. Your goal when you're trading is to make sure you're taking the highest accountable setups possible, to make sure that when you are in a trade, when you're risking your money, you're making it pretty much very unlikely that you are seeing something bad happen more than anything, but a break in your rules. So important that you watch the first video on this about the trade plan, just because this is going to be that next step of really, putting all the pieces of the puzzle together to make sure that the mystery and the superstition that you might have when you're trading is completely knocked out of this. This was a super simple topic that literally I've carried with the entirety of my trading career at this point, and stuff I still do like to trade off of. That could be so simple and picked up within, a 25-minute YouTube video. It's all about understanding the risks and the rules that you have and the opinions that you have towards a certain style of trading. Some people like to trade other ways than I do. I don't give them shit for it. I don't care. I'm going to trade how I like to do it and what I believe in, because I know doing what I believe in is going to make me have the best outcome, usually economically, like financially, just because it's something you believe in, you're confident in it. But psychologically, it's so much easier to take trades and even lose trades that I believe in and I know I had high conviction on. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Also, make sure to use code Steph on Tradeify. I'm giving away a bunch of accounts. I'll pick some winners later today. Bye.